What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video. So today's video is all about the Honda's new bike, the NX500. So this is actually a little bit of a modified version of our previous model, the Honda CB500X. So in fact it only came with cosmetic changes. The front portion has been changed and we get a complete TFT dash. Otherwise the motorcycle is actually under the skin, it is all sing. So this is the NX series. So if you know the history of Honda, then Honda has a very beautiful motorcycle which is called the NC750X, which is beautiful in many ways because that motorcycle is actually looking beautiful, one thing, and second thing, it has a tank under the rear seat and we fill the fuel in the rear seat, and instead of the normal tank it has a helmet carrying setup and it's a DCT. So there are a lot of specialities with that bike. So that is the inspiration of this motorcycle, the NX500. But in fact, to be honest, if you ask me, does it really look like a Honda? Do you think so? Basically a motorcycle is actually identified based on the design aesthetics. So if we remove all the Honda logos on this motorcycle, do we recognize this as a Honda? Because I was pretty much confused looking at the front section of the motorcycle. I feel like somebody in the CF Moto got fired and he got hired by Honda. So the front section actually doesn't look like a typical Honda design. It almost looks like a brand new design from Honda. And the headlight section is actually very small. This portion is very small and the visibility is also not so great, but these indicators are from Honda, so this portion is the newly added one. The stickers, everything looks a little new, and this is OEM crash bar from Honda, and we can see the upside down forks there. We get dual disc in the front, and these are actually Dunlop tires, which is doing very good job on the road. It's a dual purpose tire, but it does very good job on the road. And we can see that 476cc engine, which we have seen exactly with the CB500X. So that is actually very sweet, and it sounds sweet as well. We'll come to that point. And here we have a bigger tank, and the seat is actually a bit new. It is a very roomy seat and it is very cushioned as well. You see that it's like that balloon seat. When we sit on the seat, actually it absorbs the rider. And we have a bit of a scooped seat over here. Pillion seat is also very good, and there's a 500 logo over there. That's all. And coming onto the tail section again, it doesn't look like a Honda, man. It doesn't look like Honda. From this angle actually it looks like a bigger motorcycle. In fact it looks like the V-Strom 650 and all, I mean from this angle. But from this angle it doesn't look like a big motorcycle at all. It's a compact version of a 500cc motorcycle. And here we have a bit of a knuckle protector. So this is basically for wind protection, but it is staying strong. For all the top ends that I've done, it is staying strong. Let's have a look into the console and the switches over here. So this side of the switch is actually brand new. So we have the pass switch here, thanks to Honda not to give the traction control here. So the traction control is over here, we can turn it off. And this joystick seems to be new in Honda. It is a little difficult to use, but it is okay. With bare hands it is little easy to use, but with gloves it is a bit difficult to use. And this horn is actually completely masked because it is just a portion of the plastic. With bare hands we'll get to know that there is some switch over there, but with gloves it is very difficult to identify the horn is there. And then we have the indicator switch, and here we have engine kill switch, caution lamp, and the ignition. That's good actually. That's a typical Honda setup. And coming over here we can see the NX logo over here. So these things I have never seen with a Honda. Honda never gives a CBR over here, so they write it over here. So these are new ways of designing Honda. So that's why I was telling that this is not a regular Honda that we have seen. And this is socket charger over here, and this dial is actually new. I think this is inspired from the Transalp. It has got a decent amount of information. So there are no riding modes on the motorcycle, so not much complications. And here we have the fuel gauge, the gear position indicator, the speed, and using this button we can walk through the 2 trip meters and the total kilometer over here. We can look into the distance to empty, the distance to the next service, and we can connect our mobile phone and pair it up and have turn-by-turn navigation. So pretty basic stuff over there, but it is good. It has a bit more information that we have seen with the 500X. So before we head out to the road, let's hear the exhaust sound. It sounds really good. We'll check it out when we go for the ride. So we just reached the road. By the way, I have almost planted food on both sides. So the seat is a little wide. The seat height is not that much, but the seat is a little wide. That's why some people who are actually 5'5" or less than that might feel that this motorcycle is actually a taller motorcycle, but it's not a tall motorcycle. So let's pull it hard. Let's get on the road. It's a beautiful engine. It's already a proved engine from the Honda CBR 500R. That motorcycle has never ever came to India, but at least we are getting this motorcycle here in India to experience this engine. So this is an age-old engine. Like, I don't know how many years that CBR 500R was there in the market. This engine is like bulletproof. I think made like a bullet should go to engines like these. So yes, it's a very sweet engine. So the character is like, it is actually tuned for the mid-range. So the top end is not there, and I see a little bit of lag in the bottom rev range, and I didn't face that lag in the CB 500F when I rode it. So I believe that if we change the air filter on this motorcycle, then probably we'll have a decent bottom end. This is my personal feel, because every Honda motorcycle comes with a stock air filter which is a bit hard to breathe. So whenever you switch on to DNA or some other air filters, it pumps in a little more air and the bottom rev ranges feels a little better. So yes, the mid-range is good, and cruising speed is like, you can cruise from a speed of 90 to 120, and the top speed is like 168 or something, which I did when I was going in that direction in the morning. So I feel more confident riding this motorcycle in faster speed compared to the CB500X. I don't know why. And this wind visor is actually good. It doesn't have much of a wind buffeting till a speed of 90 km/h, and after that it is there. And there's a minor observation that the same kind of buffeting that we have seen with the Himalayan, the 411 Himalayan, I'm seeing that kind of a wind pattern on this. So I think the wind is coming from both the directions and hitting the helmet, so that's a little annoying when we go beyond 120 or 130. But otherwise, cruising on the motorcycle is like very nice. The engine is stress free. I have done a coin test on this motorcycle. You can go and check it out, because the engine is super stable. But obviously it's an internal combustion engine, so that kind of a buzziness will be always there. So that buzziness is getting onto something over here, the new part, and making a cruise sound. I don't know what it is, but there is a little bit of buzziness over here. Otherwise there is no vibration issue or anything from the engine. As I told, it's an age-old engine which has been developed by Honda for years. So engine is truly brilliant and masterpiece. And there is one part over here which actually gives a bit of a buzziness. Otherwise, refinement level is next level. And obviously there are no heating issues. Yesterday I was riding in peak city traffic, still no heating issues. So to talk about the riding posture, I'll say that it has completely upright riding posture, and I can see that the foot peg is a bit raised. It is not too much like a sports bike, but it gives a nice feel. We can actually control the motorcycle by using the hip, so that kind of a feel is there. So bit of a sportiness on the lower body, but it's mostly upright. And the seat is very comfortable. So as I mentioned, the seat actually absorbs you. So the seat is so cushioned that it actually absorbs you. So in the highway, the seat is giving very comfortable feel. It gives complete comfort. But riding it inside city, I feel that because our butt is actually going inside the seat, I was sweating at the butt. So that kind of a feel is there, sweaty butts. But otherwise the seat is actually very nice for long rides. And the handlebar is actually wide. I don't think that it is as wide as a Honda Africa Twin, but it is not as short as a street bike. So the leverage is good, it is easy to ride, and if you want to take U-turns and all, it's not at all a heavy bike. It's a very decent bike. Ground clearance is good, decent enough. It's not a very tall motorcycle as well. And to talk about the brakes, it comes with dual disc on the front. That braking is good, decent enough. So the braking feedback is something like that we have seen with sports motorcycle. So it's not an off-road centric motorcycle, so the braking is also like road oriented, and the tires are actually very grippy. If you want to take corners in high speeds, you can do that. I was doing a long sweeping corner at 130 or 140 when I was going the other way. And when it comes to suspension, actually this comes with Showa SFF. This is the same unit that we have seen with the Honda CBR 650R series. I mean this Showa unit. And this is actually tuned a little onto a harder side. So the advantage is it is highly confident to ride on the road. That's what I said. If you want to take a corner on this motorcycle, just ride it like a sports bike. It's very confident to ride. Generally, adventure motorcycles are not so confident over the corners unless you have an adjustable suspension and you start tuning the suspension. So in the stock setting itself, this suspension is very good for corners. So it's again pushes the motorcycle to the road use. And the rear suspension is also similar, a little onto a harder side. So if you're going through that small humps on the road that you see on the highway, it is not going to be a cake ride kind of a thing. You know, generally on adventure motorcycle you never feel that, but on this one you will feel that. And when you are inside city and you are running through bad patch of road, this won't hurt you like a sports bike, but this won't give you the ultimate comfort of an adventure bike. And to talk about the gearbox and the clutch is ultimately light. I was riding this motorcycle along with my CBR in the morning. So CBR has a very light clutch. This one is again one more level light. I think Ducati guys won't be liking this clutch at all because it's too light. They will say that there is no clutch lever, the clutch lever is gone. It's an invisible clutch lever, you know. Definitely I'll say you that if you are a Ducati guy and you're gonna ride this motorcycle, the first thing you'll feel that it has an invisible clutch. And the gearbox is good, it's precise, but one observation is that the leverage of the gear shifter is actually very high. So my observation is that when we want to shift each gear, and suppose say you are in the mid RPM, so you take a little bit of more time compared to other motorcycles on this one. So after each shift, the revs actually comes down. So as I mentioned, if you are on the stock air filter and the rev comes down, you will feel a little bit of power lag. Say you are on the higher revs and you keep shifting it very fast, you won't feel that. But if you are in the mid RPM and you keep shifting, and with that lag of shifting, you will feel a power lag. This is just an observation that I'm bringing it to your mind when you're going to take this motorcycle for test ride. So each gear you will hit that power lag. But the shifting is cool, I really like it. And altogether the ride feel is good, a very positive ride feel because there are no rattling, nothing, and the bike actually feels like a single piece of unit, except the fact that there is a little bit of rattling coming from some metal part over here. I don't know, I couldn't identify what it is. The thing is there, and that happens in red lines, not in any other RPM. And let's come to the ownership part. So this motorcycle actually goes out for sale for 7.58 lakh on road Bangalore, which in my eyes I'll say that it's a good pricing for a Honda, because Honda is actually famous for pricing motorcycles very high. You look at the pricing of the Honda CB500X when it came to the market, and they had to slash the prices, and this is now running at the slashed price of the 500X, this updated model. So I'll say that 7.58 for this motorcycle is decent enough looking at the entire range of bikes, and it's a good pricing when it comes to Honda because they haven't priced it exorbitantly high. And if you're gonna compare this motorcycle with Himalayan or Adventure 390 or whatever single cylinder motorcycle which is available, I'll say that there is no comparison because it's a two-cylinder. The ride feel, the ride quality, the engine quality, everything is so different on this motorcycle. So there is no point in comparing. If you are short on budget, of course you can go and buy an Adventure 390 or a Himalayan because that makes more sense. But if you are actually onto this budget, consider this motorcycle. It is not so overpriced. The entire feel is different. The way how a two-cylinder rides and the confidence that you get on this motorcycle, the brakes, the suspension. Yeah, obviously this doesn't come with an adjustable suspension at this price point, but yes, it's altogether you feel that you are riding a single piece of unit. You don't feel like there's something rattling over there, or that kind of feel is not at all there. And I don't really say that it feels like a mini Africa Twin. I don't want to unnecessarily blow up this motorcycle as well, just that this doesn't have a comparison. And really I cannot say that the bigger motorcycle that you can look in this price range is not at all a Versys 650, because Versys is taller, it's heavier, it's a road oriented tourer, but it is not easy as like this motorcycle. But you can look at the Transalp. Transalp is more like a bigger brother to this one, which with off-roading capabilities. So that's how I'll say. And this motorcycle actually goes for service once in 6,000 kilometers and will cost you something like 3,000 to 4,000 rupees. So a decent running cost, that's all I'll say. And also the expected mileage is 25 to 28 km per liter, which is well and good for a tourer. So now let's look at each scenario and we'll come to the verdict. So if you're someone who wanted a motorcycle for your city use and it shouldn't feel that it is too much overwhelming for the city, then this 500cc is good enough. I can see that this motorcycle is actually faster compared to every other motorcycle in the city. Obviously I'm comparing with other 300cc motorcycles for the city use. It's much faster, and this is not so hard to ride inside city. And when it comes to the highway, this is not as fast as a 650. So in the city, this is a king, and when it comes to the highways, this is actually underpowered. And also this is not a good off-roading motorcycle because the suspension is not tuned for that. The size of the wheel is not like that. The stock rubber coming on this one is more road oriented, but you can do soft roading in the sense if you're riding on the highway like this and there's a highway construction happening, you can actually go through that. It's not at all a trouble. And highway riding capacity is very good actually. Even though I said that it is not as fast as 650, still you can cruise at a speed of 140 with full luggage and with pillion. So the pillion comfort and the rider comfort is good. The seat is long, that's what I said. The seat is ultimately long. So it's a much comfortable motorcycle. So in my eyes, I'll say that if you're someone who's not mad about power, assume you are that kind of a person. We choose motorcycle based on our character. So if you are someone who is very aggressive, this is not at all a motorcycle. If you are someone who wanted one single machine in your garage which can do everything in a good way, then this is a good motorcycle. You can do city riding, it is good, and you can take it to highways, fine. You can do some soft-roading, it is okay, and no off-roading. So if this is your requirement, NX500 is a good motorcycle. And if you ask me what are the bells and whistles that you see on this motorcycle compared to other motorcycles in the segment, I'll say that there is nothing else apart from the traction control and the slipper clutch. There are no riding modes, there is no cruise control, there is no heated grips, there is no heated seats, nothing like that. So it's just a plain motorcycle and where you can play around with. So that's my take on the NX500. So if you have any doubts on the motorcycle, do let me know in the comment section. Well, this is what I told. When we run through these kind of humps, it is not like an adventure motorcycle. Yeah, so I hope this video is helpful for you, and as always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.